Mike Callahan here with Callahan's Corner, where you ask the questions, we answer them live right here on Facebook. So one of the questions that was pre-submitted for the week is that people wanted to know, is there something I should be looking at when routing my crews, specifically based on different size crews and different types of divisions inside your business. So this is applicable to lawn care and home cleaning, but if you're running a lawn maintenance crew and a fertilization or irrigation crew and a hardscape crew, you're going to have significantly different overhead recovery numbers. So if you believe in the MORE system, the multiple overhead recovery system, where we're looking at our labor, equipment, and fixed overhead, or our general administrative costs, is three different overhead areas in your business, the first thing I would recommend looking at is your labor. So your average wage per division. So what we want to do is list all of our employees, and if we don't have them yet with the labor crunch, what technician 1, 2, or 3 would be getting paid. And to the right of that, how many hours that you are budgeting for the entire year or season for them. And then what we're going to do is take that average of all the employees' wages and average them down. So it doesn't matter who's on the crew, but we have an average wage calculated for all the people in your lawn mowing division or home cleaning division, whatever that is. And then in addition, we want to figure out what is the average, if any, overtime percentage you see in payroll. So maybe 5% of my payroll is in overtime. So you're going to have a average wage based on each division with an overtime average variable. So now we've got our average wage with overtime, so it doesn't matter if we're in straight time or overtime. We've covered that in our budget, and we have projected budgeted hours for the year. Now, where I'm going with this is in about 2 to 3 minutes, I'm going to bring it all together, but hold on with me because there's certain parts that we want to break down first. So the next thing is, in the labor calculation, we want to figure out our labor burdens. That's our FICA, unemployment, workman's comp, holiday pay, company bonus pay, if those apply. And what you're going to do is get that as a percentage of the dollar. So maybe it's 19%. So it's 19 cents on every dollar of payroll it's costing you to cover your labor burden. But now we have an average wage with overtime and our labor burden. So that's going to go in and cover our labor for the day or the year. But we want to basically set some thresholds of how much are we going out and setting up for each crew as far as a total dollar value. So in a fertilization crew, maybe it's between $1,200 and $1,300 a day. That's a sweet spot. And if you're not hitting that number, all the numbers and data you're putting together are not going to, at the end of the day, create a predicted net margin. So a lot of people may be doing everything right, but they're not going out and scheduling enough work for the day to cover some of that fixed general administrative cost, or they're scheduling too much. So we want to cover our labor, average wage with overtime and labor burden. The second thing is we're looking at is our equipment setup. So once again, lawn care or home cleaning doesn't matter, but we want to look at the vehicle. So in lawn care, it's going to be the truck and trailer, and those are going to be covered at curb time. So those are large pieces of equipment. So when they leave your shop to when they get back to the shop, we're recovering 8 to 10 hours of that. So we're going to have an hourly wage for that, and that's going to go in to literally cover the sales price, if you financed it, salvage value, what you're selling it at, oil changes, insurance, gas, all that maintenance is covered in it. You're going to have $1 per hour, so maybe it's like $5 an hour, $6 an hour per hour that truck is out. And then we have the same thing for the trailer. Mowers and other smaller pieces of equipment like a dingo or a skid steer, we're going to recover those just in the time we're using them during the day with the maintenance cost. So now we have a cost for each piece of equipment on there. And then the last thing is a maintenance package. So we don't want to get in the minutia, but if we're looking at weed whackers, blowers, stick edgers, things like that, hedge trimmers, based on your crew setup, we want to go in and create a maintenance package that recovers the total amount. So maybe it's $3,000 for 2 weed whackers, 2 blowers, and a stick edger. Whatever that is, it's going to come out to a hourly hour rate that you need to recover and what it's costing you for that crew. So now we've got our truck and trailer, our mowers, and our maintenance package. Now we've literally got our labor taken care of with overtime and labor burden. We've got our equipment set up. And the last thing is overhead to recover. So that's your marketing, your advertising, your computers when you're depreciating them out over 3 years. All those things. And if you're believing in the MORE system, we are recovering our equipment, labor, and materials with a percentage of, I believe it's subs are going to be 5, materials is 10, and equipment, I believe, is at 25%. But we're going to go in and basically have an overhead recovery percentage that we're plugging into this system, and I'll make a Facebook Live on this with the screen share, but where I want to get with this is after we put all these numbers together from our budget of our labor with profit built in, our equipment, and so like our truck and trailer would be separate because that's recovered the whole hours of the day. Then we're going to have like our mowers and then our equipment package. So if you're in the home cleaning industry, some of this would actually still apply, pretty applicable. But at the end of the day, what I've got on the bottom of this screen that I'm seeing in my head basically is total sales required for the day. So maybe it's $1,000 for the mowing crew. A total break-even expense. So maybe it's costing you $700 before you make a profit. So you'd have a $300 profit, net profit, bottom line. And it would say hours budgeted. So if you have a 2-man or 2-lady crew for 20 hours, and if you had 2 guys or girls on that crew, you would be budgeting for 10 hours. And then it would literally say, what is your break even per hour? So maybe it's $36 per hour, and we need to charge $50 an hour to hit those revenue goals. Obviously, the math isn't adding up if you're doing it because I'm not on the screen showing the exact numbers, but you got the idea. So you've got a total revenue that you have to charge for the day, what it's costing you before you make a profit, how many hours you should be budgeting, and what your hourly revenue goal should be for that crew, and what is your hourly expense before a profit. Now, sounds crazy, but once you have all that, and you base your pricing on your hourly goals when you build up your services in a pricing matrix, none of that really matters unless the person doing the scheduling actually knows those numbers and holds true to them as much and as closely as possible. So if you're running the example of the fertilizing crew and you need to be between like $1,200 and $1,300, you can't go out and put a fertilizing crew up for $900. You need to be in that sweet spot. That mowing crew, if your number was $1,000, like within $50 to $60 either way each day, you need to be scheduling that. And then through a process of budget versus actual time, daily KPIs, key performance indicators, you should be tracking that, or your admin should be tracking that and reporting to you every day. And then the following week, so next Monday, I'm meeting with my team, and as part of their cadence for accountability, they're going to report out how did we do daily versus actual for the whole entire last week. So we're not waiting till November, December to see if we made money. We are scheduling to the projected budgeted profits, and we're holding the team accountable daily and weekly to make sure if we're not hitting those goals, we can move that needle to get there. So comments or questions, drop them below. Callahan's Corner. I want to say what's up to Jesse, watching live right now, but submit your questions. We have been in the trenches. By no means am I on a pedestal or the SimpleGrowth team making these videos. We have been lucky enough to get some of these things right. Quite candidly, we failed miserably at some of these things, and through trial and error and going out and learning through the mindset of abundance, I want to share how we overcame some of these hurdles and dialed in consistent net profits and tied in accountability with our office and our field staff with obviously a quality standard. So Callahan's Corner, you asked the questions, we had some live right here on Facebook. We'll see you again tomorrow with another pre-submitted question.